In a quiet valley stands a tree with no leaves, barren yet unbroken, holding secrets of resilience and hidden strength. When Jesus leads his disciples to seek shelter beneath its branches, they are drawn into a story of struggle, faith, and silent endurance. A story that will awaken their deepest fears and greatest hopes, revealing truths that lie beneath the surface. Join them as they learn a lesson from the tree that will change their hearts forever. The road was long and winding, cutting through a valley as the sun cast its final glow over the horizon. Golden light fell over rocky hills and low grasses, painting everything in the warm colors of dusk. The disciples trudged along the path, their feet weary from the day's journey. Their robes clung to them, dust-stained and travel-worn, yet their spirits remained focused, each one carrying thoughts of the teachings Jesus had shared that day. They walked in contemplative silence, each man's mind circling around the lessons, the questions, the unspoken thoughts and fears that lay hidden behind each brow. As they moved, a peculiar sight caught their attention. In the distance stood a solitary tree, its branches splayed wide against the fading sky but devoid of any leaves. Its appearance was strange, even haunting, an unexpected image of barrenness in an otherwise fertile valley. The disciples exchanged glances, murmuring quietly among themselves. "Look at that tree," Peter remarked, his voice tinged with confusion. "It has no leaves, yet it stands alone, bare but unbroken." John, his gaze filled with curiosity, nodded thoughtfully. "Perhaps it's just that time of year," he offered, though even he found himself oddly unsettled by the tree's stark appearance. Little did they know, this tree would become the focal point of a lesson that would shape their understanding forever. As the disciples approached the tree, they felt an unexpected sense of comfort beneath its outstretched branches. Despite its lack of foliage, the tree cast a wide, protective shadow, as if inviting them to rest. They lowered themselves onto the earth, adjusting their cloaks and finding spots to settle in for the night. Peter leaned back against the tree's rough trunk, the bark cool and solid against his back. He glanced upward, his gaze tracing the twisted, leafless branches reaching into the darkening sky. "Why does it even stand if it has no leaves?" he mused aloud, his tone carrying a hint of bewilderment. John, ever the gentle soul, offered a different perspective, his voice soft and contemplative. "Perhaps it still has purpose even if we cannot see it," he replied, his eyes thoughtful as they traced the lines of the tree's bare form. Beside him, James remained silent, his own mind churning with questions and doubts. He had joined this journey with great hopes, but there were moments when he questioned his own worth, his own place among the others. The tree, empty as it was, seemed to mirror his insecurities in a way he couldn't quite explain. As the disciples settled in, Jesus remained quietly observant, his gaze soft and compassionate. He could see the unspoken questions, the hidden fears, lingering in the hearts of his friends, and he knew that this tree, stark and silent, would become the key to a deeper understanding for them all. The first light of dawn was just beginning to stretch across the valley when Jesus gathered his disciples around the tree. They moved closer, curiosity lighting their tired faces. Sensing their interest, Jesus began to speak in his gentle, reassuring voice. "There was once a tiny seed," he said, each word carrying a warmth that filled the quiet of the morning. "This seed fell onto rocky, dry soil. From the very beginning, it had to struggle just to survive. It longed to grow, to reach for the sky and the sun, but there was so little nourishment in the ground. Every day, it endured scorching heat, sudden storms, and harsh winds." The disciples listened intently, their faces marked by empathy and interest. They could imagine the seed, small and fragile, yearning to grow in a place that seemed to offer it nothing. Jesus' words touched something deep within them, stirring emotions they hadn't yet fully acknowledged. For some, like Peter, it was a reminder of their own insecurities, the constant battle against self-doubt. For others, like John, it was a call to faith, a reminder that growth sometimes came through struggle. Each disciple felt a connection to the story, recognizing in the seed's silent endurance a reflection of their own inner battles. Jesus, observing their reactions, continued the story with a gentle smile, knowing that his words were reaching the hidden places in their hearts. When Jesus finished his tale, a quiet settled over the group, broken only by the soft rustle of leaves in the distance. The disciples sat in contemplative silence, each one processing the story in his own way. Peter was the first to speak, his voice a mixture of vulnerability and curiosity. "I feel like that seed sometimes," he admitted, his gaze lowered. "There are days when I question if I'm worthy to walk this path. I worry that I lack what others have: faith, strength, wisdom. Sometimes I wonder if I'm enough." John placed a reassuring hand on Peter's shoulder, his voice calm and steady. "You're not alone, Peter," he said gently. "We all have doubts. I too struggle with thoughts of my own worth. This journey has shown me that faith is not always easy, but I believe there is a purpose in our trials." Mary, who had been listening quietly, spoke up, her voice filled with a quiet determination. "I have always longed for acceptance," she confessed, "to feel that I belong somewhere, that my life has meaning. In this seed, I see the strength to keep reaching even when it feels impossible." The disciples' words brought a warmth to the group, a sense of shared struggle and understanding. Each of them had been carrying hidden fears, silent burdens that weighed on their hearts. In the story of the seed, they found a reflection of their own resilience, a reminder that their trials were shaping them in ways they couldn't yet see. Jesus watched, his heart full of compassion, knowing that this understanding would become a foundation for the strength they would need in the days to come. The day wore on, and as the disciples moved through the valley, their eyes returned again and again to the solitary tree. It stood silent, its bare branches reaching skyward, an image of quiet endurance. Though it lacked leaves, there was a strength in its presence, a silent testament to the passage of time and the storms it had withstood. Each disciple felt an unspoken connection to the tree, sensing that it held a lesson beyond what they could immediately understand. Peter found himself drawn to it, spending moments of quiet reflection beneath its branches. He traced his hand along the rough bark, feeling the solid strength beneath his fingers. The tree had survived without the visible signs of life, yet it remained standing, unbroken. For Peter, the tree became a symbol of resilience, a reminder that his own strength lay not in outward appearances but in his ability to endure. Mary too felt a kinship with the tree, seeing in its silent endurance a reflection of her own journey. She had spent years seeking acceptance, striving to find her place, yet here was a tree that existed quietly, content in its own purpose. Each disciple, in his or her own way, found solace in the tree's presence, sensing that its story was intertwined with their own. As dusk fell, a sudden change swept over the valley. Dark clouds gathered on the horizon, their ominous shapes rolling in with an unspoken warning. The disciples looked to the sky, a sense of unease settling over them. Thunder rumbled in the distance, and soon lightning split the sky, illuminating the valley in stark flashes. The storm descended upon them with a fury, the wind whipping through the valley, sending dust and debris swirling around them. Scrambling for shelter, the disciples sought refuge beneath the branches of the tree. They huddled together, each one confronting a personal storm of fears and doubts. As the wind howled and rain began to pour, they clung to one another, feeling the raw vulnerability of the moment. The tree, despite its bare branches, offered them protection, its roots holding firm against the fierce winds. In the midst of the storm, the disciples felt a profound sense of unity, a shared strength that transcended their individual struggles. Each one faced memories of past hardships, moments of loneliness and fear, yet in that moment, they found comfort in the presence of their friends and the silent strength of the tree. With dawn breaking and the storm finally subsiding, the disciples noticed a flock of small birds fluttering into the branches of the tree. The birds, fragile and trembling from the storm, sought refuge in the branches, finding safety where they least expected it. The disciples watched in quiet amazement as the birds nestled in the tree's embrace, a poignant reminder that even in its barrenness, the tree offered sanctuary. Jesus, sensing their wonder, spoke softly. "The tree stands not for itself but for others," he said, his voice filled with a gentle wisdom. "Its purpose is not always visible, yet it remains steadfast, providing strength and shelter to those in need." The disciples exchanged glances, understanding that the lesson extended beyond the tree. They too were called to be a refuge for others, to offer strength and support even when they felt they had little to give. In the birds' quiet trust, they saw the power of humility, the beauty of serving without expectation. As the morning light filled the valley, Jesus gathered his disciples around the tree once more, his face radiant with compassion. "This tree may appear barren," he said, "but its roots are strong and deep. It has endured storms, heat, and drought, yet it stands unbroken. Its strength lies not in what others see but in what lies beneath the surface." His words sank deeply into the disciples' hearts, each one feeling a profound sense of purpose. They realized that their worth was not defined by outward success or visible accomplishments, but by the strength they held within. In the silence that followed, they felt a renewed sense of faith, a quiet confidence in their journey. Jesus' message, spoken with such love and understanding, became a guiding light for each of them, a reminder that they, like the tree, were part of a greater purpose. As they prepared to leave the valley, each disciple found a moment of personal revelation. Peter felt a newfound strength, a sense of worth that no longer depended on others' approval. Mary too felt a peace within her, a quiet acceptance of her journey. Even Thomas, known for his skepticism, found a glimmer of faith, a belief in the unseen strength within him. In this chapter, the disciples share their insights with one another, their conversations filled with warmth and gratitude. They realize that their struggles have brought them closer, shaping them into a family bound by faith and purpose. As they speak, the memory of the tree remains with them, a quiet symbol of resilience and hope. With a final look at the valley, the disciples set out on the road once more, their hearts light and their spirits lifted. The tree, now a beloved symbol, stands as a testament to their journey, a reminder of the strength that lies within each of them. Jesus walks beside them, offering silent support, knowing that his disciples carry a precious lesson within them. As they leave, the valley fades behind them, but the memory of the tree remains, a quiet beacon of faith, resilience, and inner strength. Their journey continues, but now they walk with a renewed sense of purpose, ready to face whatever lies ahead. This is end of the story. Comment Amen if you believe in Jesus' blessings. Please like this video and subscribe this channel for more Jesus story like this. May the God watch over you.